Yo.
Jazze,
Hey,
Jazze, thank you. Welcome to the show.
sorry I'm late. Sorry I'm late.
So you know you got to do your intro. You got to do your intro for us, okay?
Oh, are you ready?
We're ready.
Y'all ready?
We're ready. Yeah,
We're ready.
Yeah. I mean, you're not tuning into the very best. It's yours truly, Jazze Pha, Burgundy, Obama, Luther King, Jr. Jackson 5, the first. Oh, boy. Yes, sir.
Jazze, hey, first of all, you are just hilarious. I just want to say, again, we welcome you to the show. You've done a lot of just amazing things when you talk in terms of platinum. And being a platinum producer, you're one of the most sought-after producers. You've done a lot. You helped establish the career of Sierra. And this show is really dedicated, really, mainly, we want your wisdom in terms of, what does it take, if you can put in words or articulate for us, what does it take to make a hits record that goes platinum? I mean, I ask you to share with our listeners, how did you know that you were headed in that direction, and what are some of the obstacles that you came into in the music business as a whole that you would like to give our listeners some wisdom about, what to look for, what things to do if you could do over again? So that's a multiple question, but I'm sure you can handle it, Jazze.
Well, if I could do it over again, I would have trademarked everything I said. You know what I mean? I would have trademarked every slogan I ever said, and then I came back after the fact and found out people were getting them trademarked, and found out that half of the things that they got trademarked was because I said them.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. A lot of people think I made up slang with, talking about the frizzle, the Izzo. I got to shout out E40 for that. But I actually got it from Snoop Dogg, just hanging out with Snoop and all of those guys. But, I just kind of, just picked it up. I'm very cultured. I've been around. I listen to everything from Too Short to Sting. You know what I'm saying? So, and I mean, I really listen to it. Like, in my house, and I listen to the Winans and Commission and John P. Key. I love gospel.
All right now.
Yeah.
We just had a chance to catch up with. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's where you get the soul from. I ain't mean to take the soul strip club, but I mean, it just happens like that sometimes.
How you doing, man?
Hey.
God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. Listen, man. The biggest question that I would have to ask you, what I was saying before you came on, where do we go? Where do we go, man, to get these? You got a lot of beats, man, and I know you've been there, man, when you got a whole bunch of tracks, and you're looking at the tracks, you're like, man, I got all these beats. What do I do with them? Jazze Pha, tell me where to go.
Well, you're so fortunate, brother, because you're right here at the sound of my voice. So that means that you can touch. You can reach out to me, but to others, I mean, they got different things, man. They got stuff like SoundClick. They got different things online. Online is just such a diverse and such a platform these days. Like, we really don't have an excuse really to not be visual. What we got to do is just get away from the whole ignorance of that computer and get all the way into it. Even if you got to read the manual. Or just get around some of your little nerd squads that just be all up in there. You know what I'm saying? Go and get information. Right now is the time for everybody to listen. You know what I mean? Because it's a digital world. And I think I'm going to take, one of my ideas was to take my old label, Show Enough Records, and relaunch it and take records out and put digital there. Because it's going to be Show Enough Digital. Because that's where the world is going.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm going. Digital.
Wow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask you this because I know you have a new artist, young gentleman, TRE BUGGS. And how old is he, by the way?
Trey is 14 years old. I just got through jamming to one of his songs. That was the reason why I couldn't hear Miss Lisa Jackson's call. I was asking people his music.
The thing that I want to say, Jazze, is the way that you break the artist. I mean, I was watching the video on YouTube where, you guys rally around your artists and you really push them. And I like to encourage, not that we don't do that and this is not a beat up the gospel industry segment, but I do want you to share with our listeners that are looking to break new music, what are some of the things you do, let's just say, every time you're getting ready to introduce a new artist? What are some of the basic things that you do to prepare to launch them out into the industry, the music industry?
Well, I think the best thing about launching an artist is to make sure that they have visibility in their own city, you know, and that their own city really mess with them. You know what I'm saying? They really like radio stations, at the schools, at the anywhere. If you're a gospel artist, at the churches, you know, make sure that you don't just that you go visit too, that you don't just go to your church and your events, you know, go to events that you heard of, that you didn't hear about, that somebody just, you know what I mean, things that you didn't plan to go do. Because I noticed, and Reverend Ron told me one thing. He said, you know what, Jazze, I noticed, and I never forget what he said. He said, man, most of the things that made me as rich as I am were not my idea. Listen to other people. It's about listening. The biggest word that L.A. Reid ever told me, he said, what's the biggest word? And the reason why he befriended me is because I said, he said, what's the biggest word in this game, Jazze, that you learned since you've been in this game? And there was 10 people, and I was the only person that answered it right. He said, I said, it's to listen.
You do workshops. You go in and you talk to people, you know, to audiences about how to, things in the music industry, how to get the record out there. I want to ask you, I saw how you guys rallied around, like I said, TRE BUGGS on your radio show. What are some of the things that an artist can do that when they're trying to get radio programmers to program their music? What are some of the things you would recommend that they do on the back end when they're approaching radio programmers to play their music?
What they need to do, I think, is to get visible. The visibility is the best thing, and do some things, just like I said, that you don't really want to do, like rally with another artist. That's smart. Also, getting involved around the times when the radio station needs things. You know what I mean? And not necessarily monetary, but just your body. You know, getting over there and showing up and being a body and getting involved. You know what I'm saying? You got to get involved, like when they're doing the toy drives, when they're doing toys for tots or anything for, you know, Thanksgiving, or just giving to the needy, or just giving back. Anything to the community is always looked up to and look good. It looks good on your resume, and it gives you a good nod.
And when you're looking for, I mean, you've worked with Missy Elliott, you know, you guys all have just done amazing things in terms of getting awards. What did it feel like? And I have to ask this, when you got your first platinum status for a record, what was that like?
Oh man, I mean, I went and I showed it to everybody. I showed it there. I had drove around with it in my car.
Wow. Wow.
It wasn't even a platinum record. It was a gold record. It was a gold record that I got from doing Tila. That was LSG. Gail Levert, Keith Sweat and Johnny Gill's album, when they did their collaboration. That was my first platinum record. Right. So you give a lot in this game. You're gonna have to if you want to keep people working with you. Wow.
Absolutely. You know, Jazze, let's talk about your dad, you know, and, you know, him being a member of the Bar-Kays. How did, you know, when you look at his work, and how did he influence you? Obviously, he had a great influence on you, but tell us about your dad.
I mean, being around the Bar-Kays, boy, that was something else for a youngster.
I know, look, they came up in my time. I remember.
They worked, and, you know, they be kicking it with people like Rick James and the Mary Jane Girl, and, you know, there wasn't no crew of angels right there. So, you know,
not at all.
You know, I mean, drug free. You know, for the most part. I mean, but being around the music, I mean, day and night, being with my dad in the summertime, I would go to Memphis and be with my dad because I lived on the West Coast. But I would get good grades just so I could go and hang with my dad during the summer because every summer they would be doing some kind of Bud Fest or something like that. So I was always on the road. I was a part of the crew. I was helping with the mic stands and, the mic cords. Back then it wasn't cordless mics. It was right. Had cords.
That's
you know what I'm saying? So I had to be the one to make sure that nobody gets stuck. So I was back to make sure they had they leather boots lined up. You know what I'm saying? So they were saying,
so you were working.
They had you working, Jazze.
They had me working, but I was getting money though.
And so forth. But what are some of the things that you've seen go wrong, unfortunately, with a young person getting out there and doing music and not being prepared to handle that kind of success? And how to
a lot of times artists come to the station high or just talking crazy because they had a bad day or they had a bad week or just there's some bad press on them and they just really blow it with the powers that be. And y'all know that you can't blow with the powers that be because those are y'all are the gatekeepers. Y'all are the gatekeepers. If it weren't for y'all, then they wouldn't be them.
Okay. And Jazze, I want to ask you and we've only got a few minutes left, but this young man, TRE BUGGS, that you're working with, how does his parents, what is your expectation, or what would you like to accomplish not only with him, but his parents have entrusted him with you, obviously. What are some of the responsibilities that you feel for this young man and where he's going?
Well, actually, TRE BUGGS is signed to his father's label, and I'm his producer.
Okay.
So with me, it's just I just took to the kid so well that seeing him being so young but so wise because he's always around older people. He's always around older people. So I wanted to kind of nurture that and show him the ropes on how it goes in his music thing because it wasn't really that far from just being who he is and his dad's business because he's in a unique situation where his dad's over there with Organo Gold and doing all this thing with all these big corporate people, and just kind of instilling in him that just because your dad is a big wig and a big boss, you're still a kid. You know what I mean? And you need to be a kid and stay in a kid's place at all times.
Right.
Doesn't matter which grown-up is talking to you. Is it one that's always around you and gets paid by your father or gets even paid sometimes by you? You still got to treat them like they're your elder,
Right. Wow. That's powerful.
So, them little kids, their parents get real fancy.
Uh-huh. No, really.
Can you do it?
Yeah. So, you can hear him. You can hear the tone of his voice when he get away with it. He get carried away with himself, and I just I might tap him or something like that and be like, yeah, check it right now.
Obstacles in terms of Jazze, you are where you are right now. Let's be real. But when you were coming up and you weren't Jazze Pha as we know you now, what were how did you handle the rejection? How did you handle putting your footprint into the industry? What were some of the things you can remember? Of course you had your father being a member of the Bar-Kays, but I think you had to define your own way or find your own way. You couldn't, lean completely on your background. You had to get out there and show people that you were who you were. How did you do that?
The way I handled rejection was I just kept on pushing, just like a door-to-door salesman. You know what I mean? You got to find somebody who's going to say yes, and then find somebody else, and then find somebody else, and then find somebody else, and after that, find somebody else. And it never, I'm at my age now, and I still got to find somebody else.
I'd like for you to leave just a few words to people that are really trying to get out there. What would you say to them would be the last, if you would have the last word, to really consider when they're looking to get their music played and get out there and be successful? What were some of the things that you want to share with them that they need to keep in mind and stay consistent with?
Well, the number one thing is make sure that you have a marketable product. And when you walk up to people, that you have a presentation that is well rounded, something that has great pictures. It looks like you. And when you open it up, it's informative. It has your number. It has your website, and that you do have a website, that you do put some sort of effort into your sound quality, and you know, because quality is better than quantity. I'd rather you have 3 great sounding songs than 19 bad sounding songs.
Right.
You know what I mean? So just invest in yourself, because if you don't, then they won't.